Hey guys, and thanks for tuning in. So the last time I did a Battlefield 3 Memories video, we looked at Operation Metro. You know, an iconic map for me, mainly due to the fact that it was the map I very first played when I had the chance to play Battlefield 3. It was the beta map, it was the alpha map of choice, and of course it was heavily featured in the trailers leading up to launch. It was of course not until the full release that I had the chance to get my feet wet, so to speak, in all the other maps. There was another map though that I found quite iconic during the trailers, and when I say why, I'm sure you'll all agree. The footage we saw for Battlefield 3 in terms of multiplayer was spine-tingling at times, and we all had goosebumps watching it, and I was barely able to hold in my excitement knowing the release was so far away. Now the map I'm talking about, of course, is Damavand Peak. Now whilst the excitement wasn't so much for Damavand Peak, but for what we saw in the trailer, either way, it still holds a memory in my mind. So in this video I'm playing Damavand Peak Rush, which of course had the most exciting parts to the trailer that I just talked about. And when we first saw it we were all really excited, and that was of course the base jump. Only available on the Rush game mode after taking the MCOMs at the top of the hill, you would then base jump off the helicopter landing down to the warehouses at the base of the tunnel, and if you were like me when you first saw it, you were amazed. Admittedly now it's part of the map and we're so used to it we don't really give it too much thought, but I can guarantee you at the time watching the trailer a lot of my friends felt the same way I did. And one of the very first things I wanted to do when I got the game is I wanted to do that base jump and I wanted to see this map because it looked so awesome. And I did it over and over again until the novelty finally did start to dwindle. It was very original at the time, having this idea for a rush map, or any multiplayer map for that matter, that forced a player to go through such a height change during the gameplay. It made for a lot of very interesting games, but also some ridiculous frags and kills. People shooting pilots out of choppers, then base jumping down and landing in the chopper and stealing it. That is just one example of what this map gave us. Now admittedly Battlefield itself has given us plenty of exciting and amazing moments without Damavand Peak being involved, and for the most part it's fair to say it's not one of the best loved maps, nor the best that can be played. I know I'm not a huge fan of it at all. As a rush map it's enjoyable, and I feel as though it was designed specifically for rush in mind, because as a rush map it works very well, and the level changes are exciting. The only time I feel as though it struggles as a rush map is at the exact same point that it doesn't work as a conquest map, and that is the tunnel. Now the tunnel is one of the last set of MCOMs for the rush mode, but the middle flag in the conquest mode. It's one of those maps in Battlefield 3 that also doesn't have a large equivalent. Now what I mean by that, most of the maps have a small and large conquest, or a 3 and 5 flag respectively. More flags of course come for the larger maps. Damavand Peak however only has a 3 flag version, and no greater flag variants are available for this map. The other maps with this setup also have a problem with linearity, and they are Operation Metro and Tehran Highway, but in fairness that doesn't have the same linearity problems as the other two, because there are flanking routes. And just for the record, I'm not including close quarters maps in that list, which of course are all limited to 3 flags because they're so small. Now just cutting to the gameplay quickly in the background, you will notice here that as we are dominating these two MCOMs, the admin of the server, who happens to be on the defending team I might add, decides to nuke the team that's attacking. As he says we are base raping them, despite the fact that he obviously doesn't realise that our whole point is that we attack these two MCOMs. So just as we're about to take them and we're defending the bomb plant or MCOM arm, he decides to nuke us, which is great. But anyway, back to the point of the video. Now by having only 3 available flags on Conquest, this means that the inside tunnels are 1 flag, and then the bases either side of the tunnel are the other 2. The tunnel itself though is a massive choke point, and it suffers because of that in Conquest mode, much like Operation Metro does. Now having played this map competitively, I can tell you that if you were a decent team and you managed to get B and C, or A and B, so the two flags, and one of those flags happens to be the middle B flag, then you shouldn't be losing the game. You can lock it down completely as there are no flanking routes. Now, being a 3 flag variant isn't so much the issue is not having any way of getting around. Let me give you an example. Grand Bazaar works best as a competitive map in a 5-on-5 environment as a 3-flag version. The problem isn't with Grand Bazaar though in terms of what's with Damavand Peak, because Grand Bazaar does have flanking routes. There may be linearity in its design, but it has ways of getting around. Damavand Peak doesn't have that. There is only one way into the tunnel and one way into B. There are small corridors that go adjacent to the actual tunnel, but they come out in the same place. You have certain members on the left, certain members on the right, and a couple watch in the middle, and you've locked off that area. You don't have to worry about people flanking around you or anything like that at all. And that's where the map fails. In terms of conquest, it just has horrible design and it really doesn't work. But what I would like to see is, I would like to see DICE with Battlefield 4 taking the same sort of initiative and map design in terms of the base jump. You know, adding these new features into sort of rush maps is something I'm all for. It wouldn't work in a competitive environment, but as a public map I think it's really exciting. What I want them to do from this map though is take that sort of element, but don't keep the linearity element. As I've said, 3 flags is not an issue for me. When you're playing 5v5, like I hopefully fully intend to do, get back into the competitive scene when I play Battlefield 4, 3 flags work very well. The only exception to that is Send Crossing. The problem isn't the 3 flags, we need routes to go around. Okay, if there was some sort of route on this map on Conquest, when it's 3 flag on Conquest, if there is a route that you can take, maybe some stairs up to the tunnel, and there's a flat part over the mountain that you can battle on there as well, that just completely opens the map up. It means that you have to watch behind because somebody can get behind, and it makes the map far more balanced. The same can be said for Operation Metro. Operation Metro suffers the exact same problems that this map does. You have to go through that middle part to get to A. If you're on Metro or on Damavand Peak and you are at either the flag C or flag A, there is no way of you getting to the opposite flag, so going to flag A if you're at C or going to flag C if you're at A, without going through B, which then makes almost going to those flags pointless because you may as well just take B because you've got to go through it to begin with. Whereas on, say, Grand Bazaar, you can get to those 2 flags without going through the middle flag because you have flanking routes. You can then change your tactics and completely change the way that the game pans out. Whereas on these maps, the games don't tend to be very good because you have to go through that B flag to get to the ones behind it. And that, in terms of map design, isn't great. So if we're going to keep the 3 flags, which is fine by me, we just need routes to go around, and I'm really hoping that DICE will pay attention to that, and it's something they will look at. Here's hoping. As a closing, really, Damavand Peak, it isn't, as I said, one of my favourite maps. I've enjoyed playing it more at the beginning of Battlefield's life. You know, it was new, it was fresh. I liked the idea of the base jump, it was all exciting. Whereas when you've got down to the nitty gritty and you've played it, and you've played Battlefield as much as I have, you begin to realise the linearity of it, and it becomes very frustrating at times. This map, especially on 32 or 64 player, the tunnels going to B get so clogged up, it's unreal. But that's the way it goes. Hopefully we will see the same quality of map in Battlefield 4, but we won't see the same linearity of maps in Battlefield 4. Here's hoping. So I hope you guys liked the video, I hope you found it informative. I've got a couple more Battlefield Memories videos that I'll be coming out with, so stay tuned for those. And as always, I'll catch you on the next one.